So I just cleaned this bed up a little bit this morning. This is one I made last year with laying cardboard down, wood chips, and then soil on top. And everything grew really well in it. And it was kind of put together nicely this year for me without a lot of effort. So there's the soil. And I haven't dug any of this yet at all, so I'm just gonna turn it over just a bit so that it's loose. Okay. Again, it should be, if you can't work it with your hands, you probably need to spend a little time on your soil because it's probably too hard for something to grow in there. This is a bindweed root, so I'm pulling that out while I can. Just kind of check it out, make sure there's nothing in there you don't want. Okay, so this is, I've got some plants and some seeds out here for someone that ordered these particular things and wasn't quite sure what to do with them. So I'm not putting all of this here because honestly I have a lot of hollyhocks and they get really big and I don't really need to plant more. So I figured I would just at least show you, against a fence line is really good. They don't have to be against a fence line, but sometimes they get very tall and the fence line prevents them just from completely flopping over. But with these mesh bags, there's a seam on the side right here, and you just pull it apart. I'm not going to pull the whole thing apart right now, but you just pull it off. These are technically biodegradable, it says, but they take a really long time to biodegrade, and they really mess with the root development, so you want to take it off. And if I were going to plant these over here, I can't right now because I have grapes here and I have this oregano which gets pretty big. But if I was going to, I'd dig a hole and maybe put one here and maybe another one here. There's about, anywhere from 2 to 3 feet of space between them because these get really large. They don't look like it now, but they get very large. So if I was going to put them there, that's what I would do. These are orange butterfly weed. These are a perennial. They won't get very big the first season, and then they die back in fall and they come back the second season. And by the third season, you'll have something, pretty big, like 2 to 3 feet in diameter, 2 to 3 feet tall. But I think I'm going to put these actually out here. Figured it would kind of complement the oregano. The oregano, the pollinators love that. They also love this. So I'm going to put some orange butterfly weed. And then I also brought out some seed. And I like to come prepared. It makes it a lot easier, I have found, to know where things are. I brought out some poppy, some California poppy, which reseed on their own really easily every year, and they're very easy to plant, really easy to grow, and very hardy. I had somebody order some alyssum seeds from me today. I already have a lot of alyssum, so I'm not going to plant more. I decided I would plant some lettuce instead because they are planted pretty much in the same way, and they are just as easy. This is Rouge d'Hiver lettuce, which is a really nice red lettuce. And then I have some flax, which is another perennial. It's a native perennial. It comes back really easily, and the thing I like about it is it blooms sooner than all this other stuff. The blue flax I have in my yard will start blooming probably in the next week or two earlier than anything I have, so it'll give some color here before other things are awake. So we're going to start with these, and it's nice to kind of have an idea of placement before you stick them in. And since these get kind of big eventually, maybe there and maybe here, put another one. So these will be kind of nice shrubs that eventually will kind of hug the border of this bed, and I think that those will be okay. So when I look at my seeds, I'm going to actually place those two. I have my blue flax, which after it gets growing I won't need to mark it anymore, but for now you definitely want to know what you have. You just break this up a little bit. You probably see all the worms in there. Okay. Break this up. And we're gonna put, so we'll have the purple oregano, which takes quite a bit of space. We have the grapevines behind there, which is a nice backdrop. We can have the blue flax over here, which has some nice purplish, bluish flowers over here. And these will spread. So, you know, in a few years, these are gonna be probably in and everywhere, which is okay. They grow in the spring, they bloom, and then they kind of, you can't really see them as much the rest of the season. So these other things will take more prominence the rest of the season. So the California poppy, I think I might move this out a little bit. Since these do not get big in the first year, I have a lot of leeway with some stuff that I can plant. You know, these are both annuals. So this year, while these are small, if you have these annuals in here that are kind of filling up the space, it'll look nice. It'll kind of shade these, give them a little protection from the elements. And then next year, you know, these won't necessarily come back. They might reseed, but you can easily pull them if they get to be in the way. So it's nice to use these. And remember, you might want to put alyssum in here if you like some nice white or whatever mounting flowers. You can actually get alyssum in a lot of colors. But since I already have so much alyssum, I'm going with this red lettuce so I can actually have something both pretty and edible. I'm just gonna break this up a bit. Okay, my lettuce, I think can go kind of here at the edge. Once that gets going, I'll just remove that. It doesn't need to be marked all year, just for now, so I know that I planted it. And I think the poppies, maybe over here. I already have a few things planted here. I'm not sure how far I went over this, maybe just here. I'm gonna break this up a little bit again. I think I have some walking stick kale that, I don't know if it comes all the way over here or not, but it might. I do have this little Sweet William popping up and some Oric popping up, and I don't mind that at all. Those self-seeded from last year, and that's a good thing in my book. Okay, so we're gonna put the poppies here. So remember, this year these are gonna be small, so it's not a big deal. These other things are kind of in and around them. Can you hear the chickens? Okay, so I think we're good on that. I don't know what this is here, this root. Okay, so it's loose, it's nice, it's crumbly, it works. Oh, got a little weed here. May as well pull that out while we're at it. Okay, so now we're gonna just put these things all in. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna take my gloves off for a minute here. I'm gonna mark it to make sure I don't forget what it is. Don't accidentally have somebody stepping on it or pulling it, because it does stay pretty much this size the first year. It's not gonna be very impressive the first year, but the subsequent years you'll find that it was well worth putting them in. So, put this guy here. Let's put it level with the soil. And we're not out of the weather we're not out of the woods with like cold weather. So I am gonna mulch these pretty heavily. And if we get really cold weather, I may even come out and cover these. They're pretty cold hardy, but you know, in Colorado we have those severe cold snaps sometimes that will really make you sad if you come out and find that all the hard work was for nothing. So get yourself some buckets, and you know, on cold weather days, really cold weather days, just cover them up. So I'm gonna come over here. So again, over here, I'm gonna mark this. I'm gonna pull the bag off and pop these in. So, and just so you know, if you didn't know, orange butterfly weed is actually milkweed. It's not butterfly bush, it's a milkweed actually. So this is a good one if you want monarchs in your yard. This is a good thing to have. I grow this, and I also grow showy milkweed. Okay, so those are in the ground. So now we're gonna remove these. We don't forget about them. All right, so with these, this is kind of my new thing this year. It works really well. I'm putting my poppy over here, and actually, I guess I forgot to put numbers on these. Thankfully, there's not many of them, and I know which is which, but typically, this has a 1 on it, and I label it 1. If I especially have a lot of seed, it's very helpful. These all look quite different from each other, so I'm not going to have any trouble knowing which seed is which. If I can get it open. Okay, so here's the California poppy seed. I measured this out in the house, so I'd have just enough for what I was doing. In the past, when I take seed packets out, sometimes they blow away or they get too wet and they get damaged. So this is a nice way to make sure your seeds aren't damaged. So you don't have to do much with a poppy. They're really easy. Just kind of rough up the soil a little bit, and that's it. That's all you do with them. So there's the poppies. I'm going to move over there and do the lettuce. So here's the Rouge d'Hiver lettuce. And this, I was kind of using in place of the alyssum that somebody was interested in growing. You plant it the same way. You actually plant it the same way as these poppies too. You know, you don't need to pay a whole lot of attention. I find that lettuce actually works better with just a bit of neglect. You don't want to overthink it. So there's the lettuce. And that's really all you need to do, other than, you know, you do want to bring a sprinkler over here and keep it kind of damp. Like just once a day is good enough, unless you get some rain or snow. And then we're going to go over there to the blue flax. So here's these. And these are perennials, so these will come back year after year. And you won't probably get a bloom on them this year, but in subsequent years it'll be the first thing to bloom. So I'll give you some color over here when nothing else is happening. And again, these are very, very simple. Just put them in, kind of rough your hand over it, and that's it. Really, really easy. So I brought some straw from my chickens over here. I want to make sure that my butterfly weed is well protected. And like I said, if it does get really cold, I would come out here and put a bucket over those. I would say, you know, if it's in the 20, if it's below freezing for now, I would definitely put something over it. For now, we're just gonna put a good layer. You can use wood chips for this too, it's fine. But just gonna keep it protected. Over here. Thing about using straw from the chicken coop is that they have pecked any possible, you know, hay seeds out of it, so you're not going to sprout hay seeds, but it also has the chicken manure kind of worked in over time, and it's good for the soil. So these, you know, you probably don't really need to do much with this, but I'm just going to cover them just a little bit to retain more moisture. You don't want to cover them much, especially lettuce needs light to germinate, so if you cover them too much, they won't grow. And the flax. So now we're official. Later today I can put the oscillating sprinkler in this and water it in good, and it's good to go. And I'm going to take my hollyhocks with me because I definitely don't need more in the ground at my house.